Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Fiction Network. Tennis. Understanding against heaven, I create divine skills. Crossing the world of the Internet King, Chiba Rin awakened her full-level intelligence talent. At sunrise, the red flowers of the river surpass the fire. You comprehend the Tao by the river and create a divine skill. The rising sun, moonlit falls, crows cry, and frost fills the sky. You enjoy the moon with tea on a moonlit night, and your heart has come to understand. You have created a divine skill. Moonlit falls. When you climb Mount Taishan, you will have an epiphany and create a divine skill. Watching mountains. The sunset and the lone duck fly together, and the autumn water grows in the same color as the sky. Your heart has understood and you have created the divine skill. Autumn colors. Thousands of birds fly away, and thousands of people disappear. Observing Mount Fuji, you suddenly realize that you have created a divine skill. Cold winter. My ultimate quality is not worth mentioning in front of Chiba Rin, he is the true god of tennis. Medanor. Genius heretics. I'm not, Chiba Rin is. Poke. Chiba Rin is as strong as a monster, and I doubt if I am the top player in my current profession. With incredible insight, Chiba Rin led Ice Emperor to complete 3 consecutive championships in the national competition, reaching U17 and sweeping the world championship, becoming the true god of tennis. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Overwhelming Understanding, Divine Skills. Rising Sunday. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Eagle Country, London. Luxury estate in the suburbs. Have I traveled? Chiba Rin felt a surge in her mind and was blinded. As the top second-generation wealthy man in China, he is passionate about archaeology. In an incredible event, he was drawn into a mysterious light. When I woke up again, it turned out to be a large standalone villa. Everything in sight is even more like the grand estate under his name. And such estates are found all over the world. Feeling the memories in his mind, he knew that he was not soul-piercing, but had awakened Suhui from a previous life. He is Tai Chuan, the leader of the 4 major conglomerates of Neon, the only heir of the Chiba Foundation, and the only male descendant of the 5 dynasties monopoly. The world of Internet Kings. Soon, Chiba Rin also felt her current situation. If that's the case, then there will be some fun to play with. The world of tennis kings, although primarily focused on playing tennis, is not an ordinary tennis world. It can be called a murder tennis ball, a fantasy tennis ball. Tokugawa Kanzuya, who hits a black hole with a single shot, has an undead bird physique that can be resurrected even after being struck by lightning, and is a phoenix in the equal courtyard. Ekizan Ryuya, who can devour the skills of others, broke Gishijiro's wrist with a ball, becoming the ultimate QP known as the god of tennis. There is also Yurgen Beresavage Poke, the first active profession who can make time cycle. What is this all about? Chiba Rin scratched her head, unsure of how to handle her current situation. Leaving the villa and arriving at the estate, Chiba Rin gazed at the rising sun by the flowing river, wanting to remain calm and contemplate her next path. Watching the sun rise from the river, illuminating the flowers in the estate with fiery red. Chiba Rin seemed to feel something in her heart. You awakened your previous life's wisdom, received blessings from the blue star, and awakened your understanding against the heavens. At sunrise, the red flowers of the river surpass the fire. You can observe the sun, appreciate the flowers, and comprehend the Tao by the river, creating a divine skill. The rising sun, what? Overwhelming comprehension. As the name suggests, learning anything is fast, right? Chiba Rin tried to return to the villa and found a few books to activate her supernatural intelligence, only to find that they were completely useless. Accidentally, Chiba Rin saw a tennis court in her estate. He instinctively arrived at the tennis court and picked up a tennis racket. Chiba Rin, who felt something in her heart, picked up her tennis racket and tennis ball as if she had formed an instinctive reaction. Step on it. Step lightly on the ground, then the tennis racket slashed down like a sword. The ultimate brilliant golden light suddenly bloomed, illuminating the earth in all directions. Boom! With just a loud roar, the dust and smoke dissipated, revealing that Chiba Rin's tennis ball had created a deep pit on the court. Centered around the deep pit, the spider web-like cracks spread far away. At this moment, a light curtain appeared in front of Chiba Rin that only he could see. Host. Chiba Rin. Strength. 4.1 Speed. 4 Endurance. 4 Tip. 3 Spirit. 4 Divine Skill. Rising Sun. Didi. I haven't waited for Chiba Rin to figure out the system panel yet. Suddenly, the horn of a car outside the estate sounded. Then the gate of the manor sensed something and slowly opened. A luxurious sedan drove in, and then a dedicated driver got off and opened the car door. A rebellious young man with a coat and blonde hair couldn't help but shout loudly as he got off the car. Chiba Rin, you bastard, I made an appointment with you myself, why don't you see anyone? Is it true that I have no trace of Jingwu? Chiba Rin walked towards the door and recognized the rebellious young man who needed to be beaten. The members of the neon-colored wealthy family also stayed in the Eagle Kingdom, and their ages were similar. Chiba Rin and Tobu Jingwu grew up together from a young age. Because of this, Chiba Rin was well aware that Okamoto Jingwu was a person who was determined to be strong in everything. Unfortunately, the relationship between Kyogo Watanabe and Rin Chiba is more like that of Yoshitaka. Chiba Rin is simply omnipotent, with skills in Sanda, Jiu-Jitsu, humanities, science, astronomy, and geography that he is not proficient in. Ashikaga Watanabe, who was very frustrated, accidentally touched a tennis ball, which can be considered as regaining some face in front of Rin Chiba. It's not that Chiba Rin's tennis is not as good as that of Kigo Abe, but rather that Chiba Rin is not interested in tennis. He prefers sports such as basketball, football, and rugby, believing that strong competition is the competitive sport for men. Chiba. What are you asking me for? I didn't even have breakfast early in the morning, so I came. Upon seeing Chiba Rin approaching, Tsuchibu Jingwu's eyes lit up and he couldn't help but step forward. Chiba Rin smiled faintly and looked at this little friend who grew up together, saying with profound meaning. I originally wanted to tell you that I'm going back to my home country. But now, I've changed my mind. I want to take you back to China together. Originally, Chiba Rin was tired of studying abroad, but now, Chiba Rin, who has awakened her previous life's wisdom, wants to verify some things. What is it? However, when faced with Chiba Rin's words, Tsuchibu Jingwu couldn't figure out what it meant. Immediately after, Chiba Rin turned around silently, and Kigo Tsuchibu quickly followed. Then the two of them arrived at another tennis court. The estate is very large and luxurious, and when it was built, the tennis court was not just one. In addition to the outdoor tennis court, there is also an indoor tennis court. On weekdays, Chiba Rin never comes here, but the tennis court is still as clean as new. A dedicated servant cleans every corner of the estate every day. And today, Kazuo Watanabe, who had never seen Rin Chiba pick up his tennis racket, saw an incredible scene. You guy. Come on, Mobu, have a fight. From childhood to adulthood, you haven't won anything against me. I'll give you a chance this time. Chiba Rin held a tennis racket and pointed it at Kigo Abe, giving a faint smile. Kigo Asabe originally did not want to agree because he knew that Rin Chiba had never learned tennis. And his tennis skills, not to mention among his peers. Even a few years older junior high school students are not many of his opponents. Not to mention beginners like Chiba Rin. But looking at Chiba Rin's war-torn gaze, Kigo Watanabe instinctively agreed. Okay, but it's not fair to lose. You challenged me yourself. As soon as he finished speaking, Kigo Tsuchibu gave a brief introduction to the basic rules of tennis. After watching Chiba Rin understand, they guessed first. As a result, Kigo Asabu had good luck and obtained the starting serve. Schwa. Ping. Without hesitation, Kazuo Watanabe stood at the baseline and watched as Chiba Rin was ready to serve decisively. Although it may seem like a simple flat serve, what is revealed is the fundamental skills of Tokumoto over the years. After landing, the tennis ball bounced up at lightning speed and flew towards the corner to Chiba Rin's left. The speed of tennis is very fast, and the angle of ejection is also very tricky. Kigo Asabe knew that Rin Chiba's dominant hand was on the right, and he was very confident in scoring this ball. But in the next moment, Kigo Abe's gaze was suddenly shocked, and his pupils couldn't help but widen. Chapter 2. Strike the Trail, the Invalid Destruction Waltz. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Bang! The crisp sound of hitting the ball echoed incessantly in the long sky, accompanied by a gust of wind, leaving Tobu Jingwu stunned in place. The tennis ball pressed against the corner of the baseline and then bounced out. 15.0 It's a valid score. How could that be? Kazugo Asabe looked at Rin Chiba incredulously. Hold the racket upright on the baseline until the tennis ball bounces up before starting to catch the ball. No matter how you look at it, you are an absolute beginner. How did Chiba Rin react and retaliate with his high-speed flat serve, without even realizing the powerful dynamic vision of Kigo Chubu? Hey, Morobo, focus. If you're defeated by an outsider, you'll lose face. Looking at the shocked Tobu, Chiba Rin smiled and spoke warmly. This sentence immediately aroused the competitiveness of Tobu. I don't believe it anymore, I can't win anything against you. Bang! 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 1.0 For 3 consecutive goals, Kyogo Watanabe's serve was returned by Rin Chiba. Even his most skilled insight talent cannot see any weakness in Chiba Rin. Whether it's strength, speed, endurance, or even spirit. As always. Is it powerful? Watching Chiba Rin without any flaws, a wisp of sweat slid down Tobu's forehead. It's like going back to the time when nothing was as good as Chiba Rin. Now even tennis, will we lose to you? I don't believe it. With solemn eyes, Tobu stared at Chiba Rin, not believing that his current proudest tennis would lose to Chiba Rin. We have to make a decision now. With cold and sharp eyes, Tobu secretly made up his mind. Although it is unfair to Chiba Rin as a beginner, Tobu also knows that if he does not use that move, he cannot be an opponent. Inflate. Gently pressing on the trace of the tennis ball, he suddenly threw it into the air. Then, as if a great pang had spread its wings, Tobu leaped into the air and swung heavily towards the tennis ball. Tennis balls fall like shells with astonishing speed. Under the bonus of his supernatural intelligence, Chiba Rin has actually continuously learned the basics of tennis from Asabu Jingwu. Even if it's just the second round, he can still make a clear judgment. The best way to deal with the powerful spike shot of Kigo Tsuchibu is actually to hit it hard with force, which is the most suitable way. If that's all you're saying, I'll look down on you, Okamoto. Chiba Rin, squinting her eyes, took a few steps and her forearm muscles began to beat. Then, the racket brought a strong airflow and collided with the spike ball hit by Tobu. Under the strong impact, Chiba Rin did not see the surprise in Tobu's eyes, but instead had a hint of proud confidence. Although it's unfair to you as a beginner, haven't you ever said it too, Chiba? There is no fairness in sports competition. As soon as the words fell, Tobu was like a fierce beast, jumping and chopping towards the tennis ball that had been struck high by Chiba Rin. Chiba, immerse yourself in my master's magnificent football skills. Under the roar of Tobu, the high-flying tennis ball was suddenly stabbed towards Chiba Rin's hand holding the racket. Immediately after landing, Tobu exerted his calf strength again without hesitation and took off twice in mid-air, posing as a slam dunk towards the waltz of destruction. When faced with a tennis ball thrown by the hand rapidly gripping the handle, a normal person's reaction would be to release the racket. But Chiba Rin smiled at the corner of her mouth. Even though he is still learning the basics of tennis, it is not difficult for him to cope with the ball played by Tokumoto. Relying on the physical fitness brought by playing basketball, football, and rugby, as well as the super strong learning ability brought by the rebellious nature. Chiba Rin quickly lowered the position of the racket as the tennis ball fell. Bang! Although it was very difficult, Chiba Rin forcefully hit back with a chopping serve. Chubu Jingwu was somewhat surprised when Chiba Rin was able to counterattack his waltz towards destruction. But it's okay, Tobu's reaction is very fast. He could feel that it was very difficult for Chiba Rin to decipher the prelude to his breakthrough waltz. The speed of tennis is very slow. Until Tsukamoto Kawago landed, a high lob shot swept through the court at an astonishing speed before falling towards Chiba Rin's baseline. Chiba, immerse yourself in my master's magnificent football skills. Akamoto hit this ball and confidently spoke up. Finally. Even if it's just one goal, this is also a historic moment when he won against Chiba Rin. Swobe, you're still too happy too early. I am different from those guys who are not as good as you. But in the face of Akamoto's confidence, Chiba Rin reacted immediately. Facing the tennis ball that was thrown high and reached its peak, he took the initiative to jump up. This. A waltz towards destruction. His pupils shrank slightly, thinking that Chiba Rin was trying to replicate his moves. But the next moment, Ashikaga realized that he was wrong. Bang! At the moment Chiba Rin's racket touched the tennis ball, he heard the sound of explosions like shells echoing endlessly in the air. Then, in the eyes of Tobu, it was as if a rising sun had appeared, with a dazzling light covering all directions, making his heart race uncontrollably. Boom! In the following moment, there was an astonishing roar in the ears of Tobu, and a large amount of dust and smoke enveloped him. Until the dust and smoke dissipated, the shocked expression on Tobu's face did not dissipate. Have you really never learned tennis? Ashikaga spoke incredulously towards Chiba Rin. Chiba Rin shrugged towards Tobu and said, I just learned today. This statement is not considered a lie. Divine skill, rising sun. It can also be considered as a tennis technique that he has just comprehended. And the reason why it is called a divine skill is not because of the power of the rising sun, which has become powerful enough to rival the level of a profession. But every divine skill is a growth skill. That is to say, with it, Chiba Rin's strength and skills improved. The power of the rising sun will also become increasingly powerful. Even developing different effects. For example, mental deterrence. Just now, it was just the shadow of the rising sun, and its power was so powerful that it could rival a nationwide full-force dunk. What if it condenses into a tangible sunrise? At this moment, Chiba Rin finally understood. The enlightenment he awakened in his past life. The supernatural insight. Has no effect on other aspects, but is specifically targeted at tennis. Chapter 3. Moonlight Enlightenment, Divine Skill. Moonlight Falling. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Eagle Country, London. On the suburban estate, above a tennis court. Between the two figures flickering, bursts of hitting sound erupted. Bang! 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 Tobu has already been sweating profusely, but he is still persevering. Over time, Chiba Rin has roughly understood the various foundations of tennis. It's definitely not yet as perfect as Shura Shizanasuk, but Chiba Rin is not in a hurry. At his current pace, it shouldn't take long to lay the foundation as solid as a hidden white stone. 6.0 Swobe, you lost. Until the last ball, bang. Tang Huisa serves. Under the intense and high-pressure battle with Chiba Rin, as well as the continuous downward rotation and thrusting, Tobu made progress. He has once again mastered a quite powerful ball technique. The tennis ball rebounded on the ground and then almost completely pressed against the ground, turning into a stream of light, sliding towards the bottom line. Unfortunately, Tobu's smile solidified on his face. Bang! Under the astonishing sound of critical strikes, Chiba Rin swiftly returned Tang Huisa's serve with lightning power, and then saw a yellow light flash past the side of Tobu. Tobu's face was filled with helplessness, and his arms, holding a tennis racket, were hanging down to his side. Chiba Rin ended the game with an astonishing high-speed counterattack. I'm not as good as you at anything. Tobu looked at Chiba Rin with a dejected expression. I thought that practicing tennis for so long was enough to surpass Chiba Rin, a beginner. But he watched helplessly as Chiba Rin, from a beginner to a football game, not only devastated himself. And the basic abilities are at least comparable to those of club players who have practiced for 2.5 years. Then follow in my footsteps and return to my home country. Sending off guests. Chiba Rin smiled lightly and asked the butler to bid farewell to Tobu Jingwu. And he, on the second day's private plane, returned from Eagle Country to Neon. From the battle against Kigo Asabu, Chiba Rin mastered. With one's own extraordinary intelligence, perhaps one can quickly improve oneself by constantly battling against strong opponents. Of course, it cannot be too much stronger than oneself, it is best to be stronger. And Chiba Rin has intelligence that Neon is about to hold a youth championship recently. It includes tennis matches between the primary school group and the junior high school group. If he remembers correctly, Yukimura, Makita, and Tezuka will all appear in this competition. In addition to using these geniuses as grinding stones to dominate tennis, Chiba Rin also has an obvious purpose. Tennis is not a sport for one person. He needs to form a tennis team. Starting from neon lights, regional competitions, Kanto competitions, national competitions, even U17 training camps, and even world competitions have all swept through. Generally speaking, a tennis team wins 3 out of 5 games. For 3 singles and 2 doubles, at least 7 main players are needed, and with the addition of substitutes, at least 10 are also needed. Chiba Rin and Tobu are only 2. Even if we try to recruit Tezuka as our teammate before he enters junior high school, the number of people is still far from enough. But Chiba Rin was not panicked, he had already planned. There are 2 roads. Alternatively, let the elementary schools under the Chiba Foundation provide generous scholarships to attract talented tennis youths from all walks of life to join. Alternatively, choose an existing tennis team to join, ban the original main player, and let yourself control and build it. And which path to take, Chiba Rin had already planned in her heart. Neon, a grand estate on the outskirts of Tokyo. Covering an area of over 10 acres, there are various limited edition luxury cars in the garage. It takes more than 20 minutes just to walk from the gate to the entrance door. To travel from one place to another within the estate, the butler must drive. The maid team consists of hundreds of people. What basketball court, rugby court, football field, tennis court, everything is complete. But Chiba Rin's favorite is still in an incredibly broad field of vision. Boil tea and enjoy the moon alone, enjoying the tranquility of nature. Young master, this is the newly arrived golden melon tribute tea. The butler respectfully brought a little tea, and Chiba Rin took it and waved his hand to let him retreat. When brewing tea and admiring the moon, Chiba Rin doesn't like to be disturbed by others. And Jingwagang tea is also one of Chiba Rin's favorite teas, but the yield is too low. Although the price of over 7 million yen per kilogram may sound intimidating, it is a drop in the bucket for Chiba Rin's wealth. If it weren't for the scarcity of production, Chiba Rin could buy 10 or 100 pounds at home. Of course, Chiba Rin also considered buying the ancient tree that produces Jinghua Gongcha, but that is within the territory of China. As the leader of the four major conglomerates of Neon, I still have no way to bypass those people with my hands. As for planting by oneself, this kind of thing, has too high requirements for the environment and year. Otherwise, how could so many people flock to it? Well, this kind of life is pretty good. Chiba Rin took a sip of tea and looked at the bright moon in the sky, feeling relieved. Moonlit falls, crows cry, and frost fills the sky. You enjoy the moon with tea on a moonlit night, and your heart is enlightened. You have created a divine skill. Moonlit falls. The voice in her mind suddenly rang out, and Chiba Rin couldn't help but raise her eyebrows. Then he got up and drove to the indoor tennis court. Holding back the butler and servant, he grabbed the racket and closed his eyes, suddenly opening his mind with enlightenment. Whoosh! Pang! At the moment when the tennis ball was thrown high, Chiba Rin spiked and served the ball. As the bright moon sets, the moonlight fills the world and turns into frost, lowering the temperature of the entire indoor tennis court to an extremely low level. There was no imagined roar, and the speed of the tennis ball flying off the baseline was so fast that remnants appeared. When the tennis ball falls to the ground, it feels as if it has been frozen. Host. Chiba Rin strength. 4.2 speed. 4.1 endurance. 4 tip. 4 spirit. 4.2 divine skill. Rising sun and setting moon. Looking at the attribute panel again, Chiba Rin was surprised to find that her 5-dimensional data combined exceeded 20, reaching a level of 20.5. This can be considered as a preliminary encounter with national-level strength. In terms of such strength, it can only be said that it is still acceptable and barely passable. You should know that children in this age group, not to mention those tennis geniuses from abroad. Even Yukimura and Tezuka have already touched the national level. Moreover, it has opened up the enormous potential of tennis, such as the elimination of the 5 senses and the gate to the self. However, Chiba Rin is not in a hurry. How many days has it been since he finally understood tennis? We already have national strength. In the short term, surpassing neon tennis geniuses like Yukimura and Tezuka is not a problem. For Chiba Rin, their biggest opponents are actually foreign U17 champions such as QP, Poke, and Reinhardt. Just like the sentence he once said to Ashikaga. There is no fairness in competitive sports. Although the unwritten rule now is that the World Series are all U17 versus U17, which is a competition between high school students. But if Chiba Rin remembers correctly, including neon lights, there will be a revolution worldwide. Enable junior high school students to also be eligible to participate in the U17 World Championship. U17 has set an upper age limit, but no lower age limit. This also means that Chiba Rin is likely to catch up with this year's U17 World Tour. Are you afraid? Not existing. For Chiba Rin, he loves challenging things the most. The stronger the opponent, the more excited he is. Chapter 4. Seiichiro Kamada, Shinichiro Furiyama. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Bang! 6.0 Chiba Rin contestant wins and advances to the semi-finals. Tokyo Metropolis, Ikebukuro Tennis Park. Chiba Rin swept through the opponents in front of her with a crushing posture and made it all the way to the semi-finals of the elementary group of the National Tennis Championship. I don't know if it's luck or fate, but Chiba Rin never encountered either Yukimura or Makita in the draw for the competition. Unfortunately, Tezuka seems to be late. You should know that Chiba Rin's purpose in participating in the elementary group of the Neon National Tennis Competition is to compete with tennis players of the same age like Yukimura. Only by confronting the strong can we learn useful things. At least facing those weak players, Chiba Rin's incredible intelligence is useless. What can a useless person who is weaker than him and has a weaker foundation learn? Please prepare yourself, contestants. The semi-finals will start simultaneously next. Group A, Chiba Rin vs Shinichiro Maeda. Group B, Shinmura Seiichiro vs Sato Kiki. Oh. Upon hearing the broadcast, Chiba Rin couldn't help but raise her eyebrows. Finally, have you waited? At the A Group Stadium, the duckbill cap couldn't stop the rebellious young man with a face all over his face, holding his racket as he approached. His gaze swept over everyone present, looking down with contempt. Because he believes that he has such strength and qualifications. He is Shinichiro Makita. Born in Kanagawa Prefecture, he is a top-notch genius that is rare in 10 years. For Shinichiro Makita, looking at the entire Neon, there is only one person who is qualified to be his opponent. That's Shinmura Seiichiro, who is also a genius in Kanagawa. If it weren't for Shinmura Seiichiro coming to participate in this so-called Ikebukuro tennis tournament, Shinichiro Makita would have been too lazy to waste his time. The fact is also as he thought. In the semi-finals, there was not even a player who could catch his ball. All are zero seals. In a frenzy, he, Kenichiro Makita, arrived at the semi-finals of the elementary school group of the Neon National Tennis Competition. Hurry up, I need to go and watch that Yukimura guy's game quickly. Looking at Chiba Rin with a relaxed and freehand expression on her face, Shinichiro Makita couldn't help but urge. From top to bottom, even the racket is top-notch. At first glance, it's a young master who doesn't know how to play tennis. I'm afraid being able to reach the semi-finals also showcased my financial abilities. For this kind of guy who goes through the back door, Shinichiro Makita hates it the most. Despite facing the contempt of Shinichiro Makita, Chiba Rin's face remained unchanged. The future three giants of Lehigh. Emperor, hee. So what? Don't waste time guessing first, I'll give him the serve. The guess that was supposed to be made first, Sanada spoke indifferently. Regardless of whether the referee agrees or not, he has already reached the bottom line. It's quite arrogant, I hope your strength is as tough as your temper. Chiba Rin smiled faintly and glanced at Makita, then stood at the bottom line. The game starts, one set ends. As Chiba Rin watched with no objections, the referee immediately announced the result. I just heard the referee announce the start of the game. Whoosh! Chiba Rin didn't make any extra movements and pressed the tennis ball twice before suddenly throwing it high. Immediately after, his calf suddenly exerted force, and the tennis racket fell heavily, flying the tennis ball. Ping! The tennis ball, wrapped in strong air currents, pressed against the bottom line like a shell, and then collided with the iron net outside the boundary. The iron mesh was dented by the impact, indicating the strong and heavy force of this ball. How could that be? At this moment, Shinichiro Makita looked into Chiba Rin's eyes with utmost solemnity. Serve, fast and powerful. But Makita is confident that he will not lose to his peers in the next 2 days. Even in Shinmura Seiichiro, Makita is confident in competing. But Chiba Rin's serve was so simple and rough that he didn't react. It seems that I underestimated my opponent too much, take it seriously. Next, you won't score a single goal. Jintian felt that he was being careless. He clenched the racket with utmost seriousness, pressed down slightly, crossed his legs, and took small, cautious steps to catch the ball. Whoosh! Bang! Chiba Rin, who saw the situation, always maintained a faint smile on her face. Looking at Makita, who was extremely cautious, he still repeated his previous serve. Bang! Under the astonishing sound of the pounding, the tennis ball pressed against the bottom line like a shell. Same serve, same landing position. But Sanada still couldn't catch it. Damn it, is this a joke on me? Faced with such a situation, Makita became angry. Are you losing points consecutively under the same serve or among peers of the same age? He has never had such shame before. So strong. Even the audience in the audience couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. They watched each game as Sanada advanced to the semi-finals with a strong and domineering attitude. It's fundamentally invincible. I didn't expect the opponent I was facing in the semi-finals to be so strong. Seems to be pressing Jintian a bit hard to catch his breath. Bang! However, Chiba Rin didn't care about what others thought, he just put on the most basic serving posture. Under the sound of critical strikes, the yellow streamer pressed at an astonishing speed, pressing in the same position as the first two balls. Jintian had prepared early, but he was still a little short. This kind of serve puts a heavy burden on the body. Do you want to disrupt my fighting spirit with this? Good psychological tactics. But for me, it's useless. The ultimate winner will only be me. Jintian quickly made a judgment. In his opinion, Chiba Rin must have intentionally used this extremely physically demanding serve to win the next game. Showing an unbeatable and domineering attitude, making the opponent feel invincible. This kind of psychological strategy, but he is really good at it. 1.0, for 4 consecutive goals, Makita missed them all. Chiba Rin scored first, but Makita remained calm. I have seen through your purpose. Next, taste the taste of defeat. It was Jintian's turn to serve, and his confidence and dominance suddenly reappeared on his face. His illness is like the wind. Under the sharp gaze of Makita, his calf strength suddenly erupted. Same spike serve. Bang! A strong wave of air exploded, but it was not a serve that combined strength and speed like Chiba Rin. But it was almost to the extreme that tennis disappeared in front of everyone. What an amazing serving speed! Jintian's goal shocked many viewers. Even the swing formed a shadow, and the tennis ball was even kicked out at an unknown time. This kind of serve is not a problem for high school students, even junior high school students. But a primary school student. Chapter 5. Invasion like fire, predicted your prediction. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not bad. Chiba Rin didn't feel nervous as she watched Jintian serve like this, but instead nodded in appreciation. It's no wonder Shinichiro Makita was awarded the title of emperor and firmly established himself as one of the 3 giants in the sea. I'm just a primary school student, I actually understood one of the tricks of Foamlin Volcano. Its illness is like the wind, but it is actually hitting the ball at super high speed. The characteristic is an invisible lead and an invisible swing. I can't even see the lead and swing of the tennis racket, so naturally it's difficult to detect the movement trajectory of the tennis ball. But at this time, Makita did not develop his illness like a wind to the extreme. Tennis that incorporates kendo, both in terms of strength and speed, is commendable. But it's just that. Chiba Rin faced Jintian and spoke with a faint smile. Then he had a movement, just taking the first 2 steps, and between the swings of the racket, there was nothing at all. But under the surging airflow, there was a crisp sound of hitting the ball. Bang! Accompanied by strong airflow, Makita's illness was shattered by Chiba Rin like a wind. The tennis ball flew back towards the field of Sanada at a faster speed, accompanied by Chiba Rin's faint laughter. As long as it's tennis, it's impossible for it to really disappear. The speed of its illness like the wind is indeed very fast, and with my dynamic vision, capturing it is also somewhat difficult. But seeing from all sides and hearing from all directions is a basic skill for practicing tennis, isn't it? Can't you see, can you hear? Its illness, like the wind, is the high-speed serve, which disrupts the airflow and brings sound, even if it is very mild, it is not impossible to capture. At least it's much easier than forcibly searching for tennis balls with dynamic vision. I didn't expect your tennis foundation to be so solid, which really surprised me. But just that, don't try to defeat me. Jintian stared at Chiba Rin seriously and did not feel discouraged because his illness was like a wind being disintegrated. If Chiba Rin doesn't even have the ability to crack his illness like a wind, why should he become his opponent to Shinichiro Maeda? Step on it. Jintian's speed was very fast, and he ran like a sword. His figure almost turned into a silhouette, and as the tennis ball was about to fly out of bounds, his racket slanted downward. Under the powerful chopping, the strong spin that brought Chiba Rin to the tennis ball was resolved. Liu Yin once said it. Any technique encountered by Lin will fail. The tennis ball played by Su Rulin landed lightly in front of the net. At this time, Chiba Rin is still at the bottom line. Blinking from the bottom line, he ran to the net and caught the powerful slice from Jintian's shot. In the eyes of many viewers, it is almost impossible. But step on it. Chiba Rin kept taking small steps and reacted quickly. Jintian used Su Rulin's counterattack action, and Chiba Rin took action. So at the moment the tennis ball landed, Chiba Rin's tennis racket had already swung, lifting the ball high. So impressive, did you make a prediction in advance? Someone in the audience exclaimed in surprise. Chiba Rin's control and insight on the field are terrifying to the point of astonishing. Is it really a level that an elementary school student can achieve? Drink. Jintian was also somewhat surprised that Chiba Rin was able to counterattack Su Rulin, but it didn't matter anymore. Anyway, this ball, he's going to make it. Invasion is like fire. Under the explosive drinking of Sanada, his body leaped high into the air like a giant pang, unleashing a fierce slam like raging flames. Boom! Under the terrifying roar, the tennis ball swept towards Chiba Rin with flames. This is aggression like fire. Faced with almost perfect triple counterattacks, the brown bear is able to disintegrate forcefully. With a blow that carries the wrath of the heavens, among your peers, you do have the capital to be proud. Unfortunately, the person you are facing is me. In front of me, the enemy either fled or suffered a complete defeat. Bang! The sound of hitting the ball suddenly rang out, accompanied by a strong airflow. In everyone's eyes, a bright moon appeared. The tennis ball was lifted high and then fell rapidly, bringing endless forest coldness to the world, spreading a layer of frost on everything in the world. The moon falls, the crows cry, and the frost fills the sky. The moon falls. 30.0 The referee announced the score, and Makida's expression became even more unpleasant. Chiba Rin's serve game, he couldn't catch the ball. Now, in his serve, every ball he hits cannot break Chiba Rin's defense. Chiba Rin, like Mount Taishan, has no weakness. He guards on the court and does not give any chance. It seems that you have already learned all about Fenglin volcano, but its power is not strong enough, which is also limited by your own strength. So far, you haven't hit the move yet, but it's a defensive move. For me, it's even more useless. Judging the power level of the Jintian Fenglin volcano, Chiba Rin was very clear that the game should also come to an end. Sanada Kenichiro is very strong. But in terms of level, it is similar to that of Tobu. Not his opponent. Keep going. Facing Jintian, Chiba smiled as if bathed in spring breeze. But it was this kind of smile that made Makida's eyes even sharper. He will never lose to anyone outside of Yukimura. But soon, Makida suddenly realized. My own reaction is too unusual. Although he has a hot temper, he usually manages his emotions well during matches. But in front of Chiba Rin, his emotional fluctuations seemed too great and unusual. Is this tactical planning? Superb strength, stunning tactical planning. Tokyo, there's a guy like you. After calming down, Makida judged Chiba Rin's thoughts. But it's already useless. His trumps were completely exposed, but Chiba Rin was clearly still adept. One step miscalculated, and each step fell into the bottom line. Being unable to maintain a calm mood on the field is like seeking your own death. I did play a lot of cards, but the outcome of a game is not just based on these. Jintian stared at Chiba Rin and suddenly burst into a majestic aura like an emperor. Whoosh! Next, Makida threw the tennis ball high, then leaned back and the racket suddenly swung down with an exaggerated amplitude, flying the tennis ball. Bang! Under the crisp sound, his illness was still as fast as the wind. But with a firm belief, Sanada's illness was as fast as the wind, and his speed became even faster. Chapter 6. Understanding the Self, Opening the Gate to Extreme Limit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Did it evolve during the competition? It's really a terrifying talent. If it were just now, I could still barely see the swinging motion. But now, not only the swinging motion, but also the sound is negligible. Someone in the audience exclaimed in surprise, and Chiba Rin also showed a more appreciative face toward Sanada. If it weren't for knowing, Sanada and Yukimura would definitely not have given up joining Tachibana University, and Chiba Rin would have wanted to poach him for his own tennis team. Being able to stare at immense pressure, face stronger opponents in battle, and transform. Such people possess excellent qualities to go global. However fast the speed is and the sound is even quieter, it cannot achieve absolute silence. As long as you can still hear it. Step on it. Chiba Rin chuckled lightly, as if strolling through the courtyard on the court. But his figure was very fast, appearing like lightning at the corners of the field, while swinging his racket at the first moment. Snicker. A strong rotational friction could be heard, and on top of the racket, Chiba Rin caught it as fast as the wind. This time, his illness is like a wind, and it is indeed not easy to deal with. Faster speed brings even more amazing power. However, Chiba Rin is even a key player in rugby, and the most fearless aspect is the power showdown. My arms remained motionless like a mountain, and I didn't even bother to unload my strength. Instead, I chose to be tough and forceful. Bang! The tennis ball flew backwards towards Makita like a shell, and the strong wind blew away his duckbill cap. But Makita's gaze remained fixed on the tennis ball flying backwards, bouncing up as it landed. Bang! Jintian made a strong response. Still as sick as the wind. His illness like wind is not only suitable for serving, but in any situation of returning the ball, Makita can apply his illness like wind technique to the return based on judgment. The continuous illness, like wind, posed a great physical challenge to Makita. But Jintian can't care so much. He couldn't see Chiba Rin's weaknesses, so he could only dismantle Chiba Rin's defense in the simplest and most brutal way. Continuous illness like wind, the second ball is faster and more powerful than when serving. But, the same move doesn't work for me. Facing Jintian, Chiba Rin shook her head and found the landing point of the tennis ball more easily and elegantly. She swung her racket ahead of time and successfully returned the ball. The moon falls and the crow's crow frost fills the sky. Moon sets. Chiba Rin suddenly lifted the tennis ball, and then saw that the tennis ball was wrapped in a silver flash pressing against the bottom line, and then collided with the iron net. 40.0 Makita, who was originally running to catch the ball, suddenly froze in place. He had already made a defensive move that remained motionless like a mountain. But the frost at the end of the month slowed down Makita's movements, ultimately missing the best time to catch the ball. Is it a mental skill? Makita faced Chiba Rin with a cold expression, but his heart was shocked. Although it is a superficial spiritual influence, then the frost is not really frost. But the effect is outstanding. At least for now, Makita is powerless to resist. Even though he practiced swordsmanship, he believed he had a steel-like will. But the subconscious is affected, so the body movements cannot keep up with the consciousness. Even in an instant, it was destined that he would not receive such a ball. He's really a terrifying guy, with immense strength and amazing skills. Makita faced Chiba Rin with great fear. Even at this moment, he never thought of giving up and didn't think he would lose. Shuang Kuai, come again. Chiba Rin's serve has arrived again. The same flat hit high speed serve, Chiba Rin's swinging motion is very easy. For Makita, it was like facing a shell hitting him. I won't lose. Your pride should stop here. Makita drank low, transforming into a sword-like explosive and unparalleled power. He wants to use his strength to confront and defeat Chiba Rin's confidence head-on, and regain the initiative of the court. Boom! Under the terrifying roar, the Jintian racket stirred up a gust of air, as if flames were rising into the night. An extremely aggressive flame, enveloping a tennis ball, smashed towards Chiba Rin's court. I am Shinichiro Makita. Invasion is like fire. With unwavering eyes, Makita, with his half-volleys, made aggressive and fiery comebacks. Half-volley. Interesting. Sanada is clearly still evolving. Using a half-volley to unleash the aggression that could have been achieved through a kill is like fire, and its power remains undiminished. This is definitely a way for Makita to integrate more understanding of kendo into his tennis. A good opponent, this trip didn't come in vain. Chiba Rin looked somewhat surprised, with a smile on her lips as she stared at the aggressive ball. Then, in an instant, Chiba Rin erupted into a thunderous force, and the racket swung out with strong airflow. At this moment, Chiba Rin, everything was just a subconscious act. All body strength converges in one place, doubling the strength. In a faint moment, even a faint white light could be seen covering Chiba Rin's entire body. In the next moment, a strong invasion hit Chiba Rin's tennis racket like fire. I didn't imagine hitting the tennis racket flying or piercing it. Invasion hit Chiba Rin's tennis racket like fire, and all the twists and turns on it, all the destructive power, were instantly shattered, and even doubled in return. Bang! The sound of a shell exploding, with a terrifying flame, swept toward Sanada. It's not aggression like fire, but its nature is similar, and its power is even greater than the aggression like fire that Jintian can unleash at this moment. Go back. Faced with such a similar goal, it is even more impossible for Makita to give up. Roaring with anger and unleashing aggression like fire, it was definitely the most powerful force he could unleash since he comprehended aggression like fire. Collapse. But just in an instant, the strings of Sanada's racket completely broke. Despite the hard and powerful impact, Makita was able to barely withstand it. But his skills were not as good as Chiba Rin's, and he couldn't unload enough strength, causing the racket to be unable to withstand Chiba Rin's return. 2.0 Exchange Venues. The referee shouted, and the audience was filled with noisy voices. There is both horror towards Chiba Rin and regret towards Makita. Jintian is very strong, at least not as strong as a primary school student. Unfortunately, the Chiba Rin he encountered was even stronger. Chapter 7. Comprehensive Suppression, Destroying Immovable Mountains. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Who? The court changed, and Makita held his racket and lowered his duckbill cap. No one could see the change in his expression. I could only hear the heavy panting of Makita. Facing Chiba Rin, he faced a lot of pressure and physical exertion. The failure to score in both the serve and receive innings really dealt a big blow to Makita. Facing such a real field, Chiba Rin's expression remained as calm as at the beginning. Foamlin Volcano, you have reached the extreme now. Unless you have more powerful moves, the game can be over. Chiba Rin naturally didn't say this sentence, she just thought to herself. He had some expectations, but also knew it was difficult. The power of Foamlin Volcano has not yet reached the national level, and I want to use this foundation to understand stronger difficulties like Yin and Thunder. For you Jintian, it's too difficult. If Makita knew these two moves, in fact, Yukimura during this period may not be his opponent. So even though Chiba Rin is looking forward to a stronger Makita, it's probably not now, but we need to wait for Makita's progress. Whoosh! Chiba Rin knew the game was over and without hesitation, he threw the ball to lead the racket. The increasingly standardized serving posture makes the tennis ball roll out like a shell. Bang! Under the explosive sound, Chiba Rin's serve turned into a stream of light, hitting the bottom line on the side of Makita's hand. So fast. Chiba Rin's serve was not like that of Makita, whether it was a racket, swing, or tennis, it seemed like it had disappeared. It's simple, rough, and fast. Moreover, every serve by Chiba Rin is faster than the previous one. Even for people with excellent dynamic vision, seeing Chiba Rin's serve at this moment is like a silhouette. Surprisingly able to continuously improve in battles. And visible to the naked eye. Is this the difference between genius and ordinary people? This is the first time that Makita feels like an ordinary person. At the beginning, although Chiba Rin was very strong, he was full of fighting spirit. But even in the current third game, the strong pressure he has endured has made it impossible for him to have the idea of winning. Super physical fitness, super learning talent, monsters. The audience were also exclaiming at Chiba Rin's strength. However, although tennis is fast, its trajectory is easy to capture. This ball is not something that Sanada cannot catch. Xiao Suibu suddenly accelerated, and then he saw Jintian waving his racket like pulling out a sword and slashing horizontally, hitting Chiba Rin's serve. But the tennis ball was not easily hit back as Makita had imagined. He felt the terrifying rotational force at the moment when the tennis ball made contact with the racket. When? It's clearly a flat shot, why does it come with such a strong optional feature? She. In the blink of an eye, the tennis ball bounced out of Sanada's racket and landed out of bounds. 15.0 How could it be? The audience was also surprised that Makita couldn't receive such a simple ball. But soon someone remembered Chiba Rin's opening move. When holding the tennis ball and throwing it, there is indeed a slight rotation of the fingers. How could a tennis ball be given such a strong spin just by the slight and imperceptible finger rotation? What a powerful young man. Skilled, powerful, and impeccable defense. The boy wearing a duckbill cap is miserable. Bang. 30.0 Bang. 3.0 When the audience was extremely surprised, Chiba Rin finished abusing Makita and gave him a clean sheet, winning the serve once again. Bang. Bang. 4.0 5.0 Jintian never even thought he could win, desperately overdrawn his strength, hoping to use Fenglin Volcano to at least grab some points in Chiba Rin's hands. But it's useless. The raging fire, the rapid wind, the elusive forest, and the motionless defense like a mountain are all useless. He was unable to break through Chiba Rin's defense or defend Chiba Rin's attack, and was completely suppressed. Chiba Rin never had the same skills as Sunrise and Moonlight again, just an ordinary tennis foundation, which suppressed Makita's hope of scoring, let alone winning the game. Daida. Jintian's physical energy consumption is enormous, and all he can rely on is the gap between receiving and serving the ball, breathing heavily in an attempt to recover his strength and persevere until the last moment. Bang! But Chiba Rin did not intend to waste time on Makita, as he could no longer bring himself any growth. Under the astonishing sound of breaking through the air, the tennis ball turned into a stream of light and flashed away like thunder. 15.0 Bang. 30.0 Did I actually lose to someone outside of Yukimura among my peers? And it seems that this guy is even stronger than Yukimura. Sanada's inner perseverance remained unwavering, he gritted his teeth and persevered. Even in the face of a losing situation, he will never give up halfway. The trembling legs began to move under the forceful use of Sanada. Go back. This is one of the few times that Sanada has caught Chiba Rin's serve so far. However, neither he nor the off-court audience believed that this goal could be scored. The forceful and disorderly return of the ball actually exposed Sanada's weakness. Everyone can see that Sanada is already at the end of his rope. Even if this forced goal can score, it is meaningless at all. Looking at Chiba Rin, the wind was light and the clouds were calm, and there was not even a drop of sweat on her face. The strength gap between him and Jintian is too huge and obvious. You're too weak, but it's also good. You can persist until now. Try to keep up with my footsteps. Perhaps one day, you will be able to see the true charm of tennis and transform into a true emperor. As Chiba Rin spoke faintly, her whole body had already leaped up. Under the beautiful high ball, the sound of hitting suddenly rang out, accompanied by strong airflow. In everyone's eyes, a bright moon appeared. The tennis ball was lifted high and then fell rapidly, bringing endless forest coldness to the world, spreading a layer of frost on everything in the world. The moon falls, the crows cry, and the frost fills the sky. The moon falls. Game. Group A Semi-Finals, Tokyo Chiba Rin, 6.0. Chiba Rin. Chiba Rin. Chiba Rin. The audience was shouting Chiba Rin's name, and at this moment, Makita seemed to have become an outsider. He is just a supporting figure for Chiba Rin on the field. But Makita just clenched his fist and then touched the sweat on his forehead. Looking at Chiba Rin with unwavering determination. Chapter 8. Primary School Group Finals, Son of God, Shinmura Jing. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. See you again next moment, I will definitely win. For Makita, he has tasted failure before. Failure will not crush him, but rather make him stronger. From now on, there will be an additional person in Makita's heart to pursue the goal of transcendence. Besides Yukimura, it's Chiba Rin. Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Jintian. Chiba Rin still looked calm and relaxed, reaching out his hand. Don't slack off, it seems that your age should be the same as mine. So on that competition, we will definitely see each other again, don't fall where I can't see. After firmly shaking hands with Chiba Rin, Makita hurriedly left. Click and wipe. I don't know when Inoue's show appeared, but he happened to capture the moment when the two shook hands. And soon, this photo will become popular throughout the neon. It seems like Mr. Nanjiro from back then. Inoue's show looked at Chiba Rin and couldn't help but sigh. He is a fanatic of Ekizan Nanjiro, and the more he understands, the more he knows about Ekizan Nanjiro's horror. Over the years, he has also seen many geniuses, including the Phoenix of the Equality Academy, which is known as the strongest high school student. However, Inoue's show did not feel the extremely oppressive talent of Nanjiro Ekizan. But on Chiba Rin's body, Inoue's show seems to have glimpses of hope for the rise of neon tennis. Yukimura, I lost. At this point, Yukimura also ended his competition. Yukimura is a gentle and noble young man. Although he is known as the Son of God, he was not yet sharp enough to show his sharpness during this period. Despite being able to quickly resolve the game, they managed to make the opponent play a full 6 innings. Because of this, he did not see the scene of Sanada being forcefully defeated by Chiba Rin. Naturally, it was also quite unexpected. With Jintian's strength, he was unexpectedly defeated in the semi-finals. What game was lost? Yukimura subconsciously asked. 6.0 Jintian sighed and spoke up. This surprised Yukimura even more. With his strength, he is not fully confident in sealing the evolved Jintian 0. What kind of person is the other party, so strong? I was defeated by my peers' hands, I am convinced, but I will not give up. One day, I will definitely win over Chiba Rin. Sanada Kenichiro's entire body was like an incarnation of a sharp sword, with an incredibly firm fighting spirit breaking through the air. Not afraid of failure, afraid of not being able to grow. Learn from the experience of this failure, and you will definitely become stronger. Yukimura comforted Makita seriously, and a hint of solemnity ignited in his heart. The semi-finals are divided into Group A-B. Chiba Rin is the winner of Group A, while he is the winner of Group B. Next, there will ultimately be a winner to be determined. Chiba Rin. I won't lose. The final of the primary school group of the national tennis competition is about to begin. Players are welcome to enter. Tokyo Chiba Rin, vs Kanagawa Yukimura Seishi. The competition in the elementary school group was originally not well attended to by many people. But the emergence of top talents such as Rin Chiba, Yukimura, and Makita immediately attracted the attention of many people. Chiba Rin. In the audience, Kenichiro Makita's gaze remained fixed on something, and he instinctively clenched his fist. Originally, this would be the moment when he and Yukimura, as geniuses of Kanagawa, became famous in Tokyo. But his position was replaced by Chiba Rin. Not willing to accept it. But if you lose, you lose. Juntian also had to admit that even if he did it again, he would not be able to win against Chiba Rin. Chiba Rin's confident smile naturally revealed invincible oppression, which was too strong. But Yukimura will definitely win. Makita recognizes Chiba Rin's strength, but is full of confidence in Yukimura. Because the first person he has lost since he was so old is just Yukimura. These two teenagers are both very strong. Who do you think can win? I think it's Shinsuin Jingshir. He has never lost a single game along the way, and he has kept his opponents 6.0 clean sheets. So what? Chiba Rin, who was facing him, defeated the champion Shinichiro Makita 6.0. Whether it's Chiba Rin or Shinmura Seishi, their strength is beyond doubt, making the audience extremely lively. The same youth, the same invincible posture displayed. Everyone is looking forward to the confrontation between Chiba Rin and Yukimura. Hello, I'm Jing from Shinsuin. It's nice to compete with you. I've heard from Makita about your strength, it's really exciting. Yukimura spoke to Chiba Rin with a gentle smile in front of the internet. It is a tradition to shake hands friendly before the war. Facing the gentle and confident Yukimura, Chiba Rin's expression remained incredibly calm, no different from when facing Sanada. He knew that Yukimura was much stronger than Sanada. When the firepower is fully activated, it is also possible to zero-seal the Juntian 6.0. But so what? He is Chiba Rin. No matter what you do, you are always the first Chiba Rin. How could we possibly lose in such a place without even seeing the world stage? Do your best to defeat me. Chiba Rin spoke with a faint smile, and then the referee announced the guess first. The game starts, Tokyo Chiba Rin serves. Starting with the serve, Chiba Rin was not excited. For him, whether to serve or receive is meaningless. Anyway, the ultimate winner will only be him. I just hope that Yukimura can bring me a little surprise. Shoo. Gently pinch the tennis ball and then throw it high. Chiba Rin displayed an extremely standard hitting posture, stirring the tennis racket into a frenzy, and then fiercely flew the tennis ball away. Too simple to simply serve at super high speeds. I only saw the tennis ball turn into a stream of light, pressing against Yukimura's side. 15.0 faster. Makita in the audience couldn't help but shrink his pupils. A faster serving speed than when playing against him. Did it hide its strength, or did it evolve? Regardless of the speculation, it made Makita nervous. If there is a speedometer, you can definitely feel it. Chiba Rin's serve exceeded 200 km per hour. For junior high school students, this is already considered excellent. In the elementary school group, that's very strong. Chiba Rin, you are indeed very strong. Yukimura didn't receive the first goal and wasn't disappointed. Instead, he spoke calmly towards Chiba Rin. Being able to achieve a strong zero ban on real fields, Yukimura has not underestimated Chiba Rin. He didn't miss the ball just now, he just wanted to learn more about Chiba Rin. Knowing oneself and the enemy is the key to victory in all battles. Yukimura's tennis art lies in this. Facing Yukimura with a somewhat intimidating attitude, Chiba Rin just shook her head. Chapter 9. Eliminate the five senses, use divine skills to crush. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Does that confident and carefree demeanor treat me like a real field? Then savor the taste of failure. Whoosh. The tennis ball is thrown high, stirring up the airflow and crashing into the air. Tennis balls, like cannonballs, have the same trajectory when they land. The only difference is faster speed. Bang! But this time, Yukimura didn't remain indifferent anymore. Instead, he quickly ran and returned Chiba Rin's serve. Bang bang! On the court, a strong sound of hitting the ball suddenly erupted. 2 elementary schools already have terrifying guys with national strength, crazy duels. The tennis ball kept flying back and forth like a shell, and the amazing waves even made the audience unable to help but squint their eyes. It's not just because the wind and waves are too strong that it's difficult for them to open their eyes. It's also because Chiba Rin and Yukimura are getting faster and faster, which makes their eyes unable to keep up with their movements. Weak people cannot even watch battles. It's a bit interesting. Is this the prelude to extinguishing the 5 senses? I didn't expect that during this period, you had already mastered such a unique skill. No wonder Jintian is far from your opponent. At the same time, if it weren't for my presence, it might just be that Tezuka is your opponent. Looking down at her slightly stiff arm muscles, Chiba Rin looked inexplicably at Yukimura again. But that's just the case. Chiba Rin, who suddenly had a smile on her lips, became serious. He constantly competed with Yukimura, and his basic abilities visibly improved. But Chiba Rin also knew that relying solely on basic abilities seemed insufficient to suppress even the young son of the gods. Rising Sun. Watching Yukimura passively hit a high lob, Chiba Rin leaped up with great strides, and the tennis racket suddenly wrapped in a powerful golden light, slashing fiercely onto the tennis ball. Boom! Under the terrifying roar, everything in sight seemed to be shrouded in a brilliant golden light. The phantom of the rising sun appeared in front of everyone, with a strong and unparalleled posture, and it thundered down towards Yukimura to suppress it. Sunrise River Flower Red is better than fire. Rising Sun. Boom! Amidst the splashing of rocks, Yukimura tried to catch the ball, but his reaction was still slow. 30.0 Undoubtedly, he is a genius who has abandoned one of the 2 highest realms of tennis, the realm of selflessness, and focuses on the development of spiritual skills, almost immune to the spiritual intimidation brought by the rising sun. Chiba Rin nodded at Yukimura, acknowledging his strength. In terms of his current abilities, the power of the divine skill of the rising sun has reached the peak of his debut at the national level. Yukimura almost received the ball, which is enough to prove his strength, far above Makita. At least when facing this ball, Makita was so suppressed that he couldn't move. Is it also a spiritual talent? No, he seems to be very proficient in everything. He's really a terrifying guy. Yukimura squinted his eyes and looked at Chiba Rin. This is definitely the strongest opponent he has ever encountered among his peers since he was so old. Strength, speed, endurance, and spirit are all unmatched. The ball of the rising sun may seem simple, but in reality, it is not at all simple. It is a highly integrated combination of strength, speed, and spirit. If Chiba Rin was a junior high school student, Yukimura was not surprised. However, Chiba Rin is only the 6th grade of elementary school that is about to enter school. I am not weak in my spirit, but I am even better in other aspects than myself. Yukimura instinctively shook his arm holding the racket. In a short period of time, he could already feel the powerful force of Chiba Rin. My wrist is numb. Amazing. I didn't buy the ticket for free. Who would have thought that the battle between 2 elementary school students even made me sweat nervously? Chiba Rin and Yukimura demonstrated tennis skills and talents far beyond their peers, shocking everyone in the audience. They were all eagerly anticipating it. Who on earth can reach the end and reach the summit? Whoosh! Chiba Rin calmly glanced at the tense Yukimura and chuckled as she threw the tennis ball high. Bang! A yellow stream of light flickered up, carrying strong air currents and crashing towards the stadium where Yukimura was located. This time, Yukimura believed that he had mastered the advantage of Chiba Rin, and his calf muscles suddenly burst into a strong force. That's it. A victorious smile appeared on the corner of Yukimura's mouth, and as he swung his racket, it sliced diagonally. It can greatly relieve force, including counteracting the rotational force on the tennis ball. But, it's just like a real shell. The power of tennis is too strong, and the rotational force is also amazing. Even after significant weakening, Yukimura still finds it extremely difficult. However, Yukimura took a step back and pulled the racket lower with his wrist. Bang! Immediately after hearing the astonishing roar, Yukimura successfully returned the ball. Amazing, truly worthy of Yukimura. Jintian excitedly watched Yukimura's return of the ball. Even if he used the motionless Chiba Rin serve, he couldn't resist it. Even though Yukimura struggled, he did fight back. However, playing tennis back does not necessarily mean scoring. Without waiting for Yukimura to get excited, he saw Chiba Rin crossing his return path ahead of time. Later, Yukimura only saw a brilliant smile on Chiba Rin's face, sweeping across with a bang. Bang! Under the terrifying aura, the tennis ball turned into a flowing light, pressing against Yukimura's bottom line. At this moment, Yukimura had just left and Shinki had not yet taken over. Observing Chiba Rin's path back to the ball, but also feeling powerless to catch it. 40.0 Like a wave, it doesn't give anyone any breathing fast attack, it's really strong. Although Chiba Rin's tennis skills cannot be seen, it is actually his simple and rough offense and defense that makes people even more excited. Chiba Rin simply simplified tennis into complexity, giving it a sense of returning to simplicity. It makes people feel like tennis should be played like this. Where are there so many flashy things? It's just a simple and rough crushing. Yukimura's body couldn't help but tremble. The powerful opponent completely ignited his fighting enthusiasm and desire for victory. Chapter 10. The Art of Understanding the Heavenly and Creating Gods Again. Flowing. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. It's really impressive. Fortunately, the village chief let out a sigh and was able to understand the key to losing points just now. Chiba Rin's every return is heavy and fast. Like a continuous wave. Even if he can block the first and second balls, he will find it difficult to withstand the following ones. Chiba Rin's physical fitness seemed like she couldn't see the upper limit, which was what frightened Yukimura the most. In general, this heavy and fast ball places a heavy burden on the body and cannot be played as a regular ball. Perhaps it can be used as a stunt. In Chiba Rin's hands, this fast and heavy ball performed too easily. Yukimura couldn't even see Chiba Rin's physical limits. But I have also encountered opponents whose physical fitness is far superior to mine. If that's all, it's not invincible. Taking a deep look at Chiba Rin, Yukimura still didn't think he would lose. Because what he excels at is always the confrontation between strength and speed. But rather spirit. But when Yukimura planned the tactics, Chiba Rin did not stop her movements. Bang! The tennis ball turned into a stream of light and fell like a shell. The strong airflow blew Yukimura's hair back. Even the hard tennis court was splattered with rocks, demonstrating the speed and strength of Chiba Rin's shot. The same trick is useless to me. Faced with Chiba Rin's usual rough serve, Yukimura's eyes remained calm, his wrist trembled slightly, and his racket sliced down. Worried about encountering another wave-like continuous blow, I chose to fight with cutting. So quickly understood the essence of my serve, do you truly deserve to be you? The future god's son, Shinsuin Jingshi. Chiba Rin's eyes lit up. Shinsuin Jingshi truly deserves to be a player in the field of mental research, although it is not yet as terrifying as the era of the three giants. But at this moment, Shinsuin Jingshi did indeed reveal a strand of pride as the son of the gods. Unfortunately, whether it's skill or caution, I am above you. Step on. Chiba Rin took quick steps, like a rustling meteor. Faced with Yukimura's clever cutting ball, there was no hint of turbulence in his expression. As she ran at high speed, Chiba Rin suddenly stopped and then twisted her body. With a strong rotational force on her racket, she knocked Yukimura's cutting ball away. The silver saddle shines on the white horse, rustling like a shooting star. In the competition, you have understood the mystery of speed and created a divine skill. Shooting stars, chick. The tennis ball, with a strong spin, bounced up and collided with the iron net before falling off for half a day. Yukimura froze in place. 1.0 Until the score was announced by the referee, the audience in the stands couldn't help but take a cold breath. The intense competition that made them hold their breath turned out to be just the first game. Why is Chiba Rin's ball always elusive? A ball that was almost at its peak could still attach such a strong rotational force. Don't say you can't touch it anymore. Even with forced assistance, the tennis ball will fly out of bounds in an irregular motion driven by that rotational force, right? The key to this ball is actually his running speed combined with his swinging motion. The body suddenly twisted and erupted, concentrating strength on one point in order to hit such a fast ball. There were sharp-eyed scouts in the audience who saw the key to Chiba Rin's goal and couldn't help but be shocked. But knowing the principle is one thing, it still cannot be connected. Every ball of Chiba Rin is extremely simple and rough. Either extremely heavy or extremely fast. Either it's a combination of extreme weight and speed, with added mental pressure. Chiba Rin's omnipotence silenced many supporters of Yukimura's victory in the audience. Because so far, Yukimura has not been able to score even 1 point in front of Chiba Rin. Yukimura, it's time to score your serve, isn't it? Especially in the audience, Makita couldn't believe that Yukimura was not a match for Chiba Rin either, hoping for something. Pop. Clack, 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 clack. On the field, Yukimura failed to break Chiba Rin and even couldn't score a single point. If you were an ordinary person, you might have become restless or angry. But Yukimura not only lacks those negative emotions, but also the excitement of finding a match. The strong always feel lonely. From childhood to adulthood, even Makita was unable to mobilize too much enthusiasm from Yukimura in tennis. However, Chiba Rin's strength made Yukimura's fighting spirit soar. The originally gentle momentum has become incredibly fierce. The stronger you are, the more interesting it is to defeat, isn't it? Yukimura smiled lightly and looked towards Chiba Rin's direction, domineering and confident. Whoosh! The tennis ball is thrown high, followed by a standard racket motion. It looks like an ordinary serve, but after crossing the net, it actually curves towards the landing point on the other side corner. A good serve. Facing Yukimura's further growth, Chiba Rin nodded in appreciation. If I remember correctly, Yukimura's ball was used against Ekizan Ryoma. At that time, it was rare for Wang Longma to fall into a state of stagnation. But that's not enough, Yukimura. Chiba Rin, with a faint smile, took quick steps and then tilted her tennis racket sideways. Bang! Under the roar of the yellow light, the tennis ball, carrying an astonishing airflow, flew backwards. Bang bang! Another thunderous rebound was the intense battle between Chiba Rin and Yukimura. Your sense of annihilation is not yet mature. Forcing it out is useless to me. Under the pull, Chiba Rin noticed a slight discomfort and numbness in her wrist. Obviously, Yukimura does not want to give up his best yips gameplay. If you, who have been practicing for 2.5 more years, are already the 3 giants of Lehigh Dadong, then at this moment, I naturally cannot face such a mature sense of annihilation. Now, accept defeat, Yukimura. Chiba Rin smiled lightly and spoke, then quickly struck. Bang! The moon falls, the crows cry, and the frost fills the sky. The moon falls. The high-hanging ball fell from the sky, and in everyone's eyes, a bright moon appeared. Endless frost covered the stadium, covered in silver. Tokyo Chiba Rin scores 40.0.